What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one breaks down what's going on with SPY, Nvda, Tesla, the QQQ, and just a couple of tickers. I'm going to talk about the PC report that just came out and what's going on with the markets, what you should be watching for going into today as I break down the pre-market analysis. But before I break anything down all this information, before I talk about what's going on with the markets, what you should be watching for, let me just mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends in just 6 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, guys, so what's happening to the markets? Will the market continue to pump the way it is? It is currently looking a little bit bullish, respecting an uptrend in the pre-market. But the question is, will we get a confirmation of a breakout, or will the market reject at resistance once again, just like how it did yesterday? And this is going to depend heavily on the reaction to the price action. For now, we did get some bullish news thanks to the PCE report. And I was expecting us to get a nice gap up and a nice pop into the open, which is what we were expecting yesterday. And so far, we're going to get that. But the question is, could we get the drop we were also anticipating based off what happened yesterday? Could we see that too? Or will the market continue to go? That will depend on many different factors. For now, look at PCE. Things are looking very good with PCE. We got month over month, it was lower than expected. The PCE price index, the personal income month over month was also very close to the forecast. Overall, the data looked quite good. Core PCE was up 4.1% year over year, and PCE year over year was up 3%. Once again, very close to the forecast and consensus, with core being lower than expected. So inflation is basically meeting expectations or lower than expected. That's basically it in a nutshell. And then moving forward, later on at about 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time or New York time, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. This is going to be very, very important. This may cause the market to move as well. So make sure we do expect some volatility 30 minutes after the market opens. We're going to be watching what the 5-year inflation rate expectations are as well. So make sure you watch this data very carefully and see some volatility 30 minutes after the market opens at 10 o'clock a.m. Now let's talk about some big things going on for the markets. The Dow was on a tear. This thing is up 13 days in a row, the longest streak since 1987. GDP is continuing to defy the odds, and the Fed is liking this data, telling us that this is bullish and that they're not really forecasting a recession as a result of it. Now, once again, this could change. It all depends on different factors, and there are always those unknown variables that we have to account for. But for now, the Fed is optimistic and things are looking quite decent. Looking at Ford, they actually announced something that's not too good. They pushed back their EV production targets, and once again, they are talking about widening losses on the vehicles. And besides that, that's about it for the market for now. We had some decent earnings that came out so far, and now we're just going to be watching the reaction to the PCE data. That's the biggest factor right now. So with PCE coming out good, the market's starting to uptrend. It is looking bullish right now in the pre-market, but here's the thing. We haven't really broken major resistance just yet. There's no confirmation of a major breakout. Right? There's a big difference between us pumping the pre-market and us actually getting a big pump in the open hours. And if you don't believe me, look at what happened yesterday, right? Yesterday, the market was pumping like crazy during the pre-market. Yesterday, when all that data came out, when the Fed announced that, they're not really forecasting a recession, the market went berserk. The market started pumping like crazy. You guys remember that? And what happened as soon as we opened? A big reversal. We got smacked to the downside. But I want to use yesterday as a lesson. Yesterday, I told you if you want to turn bullish, we need to break 460. That's going to be our confirmation of the breakout. And if we broke below our supports, we're going to likely fill the gap and come down pretty hard. And that's what happened. We actually failed to get the breakout, and we ended up coming down anyways, despite how much we pumped in the pre-market. So I just want to warn you guys, something like this is similar and could happen today, but you need to watch for confirmation. So if we break 456 today, if we see this resistance break, I'm going to be anticipating a move all the way up to 458 or so to fill this imbalance. I think that's going to be very likely if we manage to break above 456. So watch that very, very carefully. Now, what could happen is we reject around 456 and the market starts downtrending again, just like how it did yesterday. And we could come down to this, like on this gap level down here around the 452s if we do fail to hold 454. So 454 is going to be important support in my opinion. If 454 fails us, we're going to likely see SPY go all the way down to either 452, if not as low as 450 for a big rug pull. Okay, so I'm going to be anticipating one of those. Either we break below 454 and we see a lot of downside, or we break above 456 and we start pumping nicely. Now, all of this can happen intraday as well. There's a possibility we break above like 456. We try to pump a little bit more. We end up coming down a little bit later on because of max pain. Now, I'm honestly not 100% sure about how this is going to play out. I'm going to be watching to see what the price action that charts tell us just for confirmation. I think that's going to be very important for today. So could we pop in drop just like what I was anticipating yesterday? We're getting the pop so far. I'm half right about that. But for the drop, I'm not 100% sure about because it depends on confirmation and if we end up seeing something very similar to yesterday. The odds are starting to favor that, but just to be safe, we're going to be watching to see if we could break out or not. So watch confirmation, watch support and resistance just to be safe, and let the chart tell you what to do. Do not try to chase after certain plays. Just watch the price action. One thing that's not so good for the market is Tesla. Tesla gapped up to about 260, exactly where I was predicting it would gap up. It's currently around 260 right now, but the problem is that's this big gap below. So if Tesla gets a rejection off this 260 area and starts like downtrending, we could see Tesla come down to fill the gap and retest 255 or lower. There's a chance that's going to happen. That seems very probable, but just to be safe, we're going to be watching for confirmation to see if Tesla could break 260. Don't forget, it also depends on the news that comes out. If there's any news that comes out during the trading day, which I can't really talk about right now since I'm recording this during the pre-market, that will also affect Tesla. But just know, if it's bullish, you're going to be watching 262.5, 265, and then if it ends up breaking down, you're going to be watching 257.75. If that basically breaks, if it basically breaks below 258, we're going to see Tesla likely get a rug pull all the way down to 255. Watch for confirmation just to be safe. For Aapl, we're currently around 195. If we break to the upside, you're going to be watching 195.67, then 196, then 197.14 as our resistance levels. We also have this imbalance all the way up here around this like 196.5 area. We could see Aapl pop a little bit more. And if it does reject, don't forget, we actually have an unfilled gap down here around 193.5. If it gets this big rejection, if this is truly forming like a rising wedge-like formation, and we come down hard, it's going to cause a rug pull in the markets. So just be aware of that and be very, very careful. The triple Q is the same thing. If we're bullish, we want to see this thing break above 382. If we're bearish, we want to see it break below 378. If 378 breaks, I'm going to be expecting it to come all the way down to around 375. So watch for confirmation, and we will see what happens. Nvda is up in the pre-market as we expected, retesting almost like 470. We're currently around 468. We're getting very close to our imbalance around 470. I'm going to be watching it to get all the way up there. And if the market gets a big rejection, expect Nvda to possibly do the same thing. It's completely normal. Nvda is completely fine. Something like this is not really a surprise or anything. So I was expecting this. I told you guys yesterday the market's going to likely gap up, and that's what the market's doing so far. And I think I want to keep this video kind of short because it's getting kind of late. We're getting closer to open, so I want to just upload this video quickly. So with that said, let me just remind you all, the market's gapping up. We predicted this yesterday. The market's pumping in the pre-market, which is awesome to witness, of course. But watch for confirmation. Can we break resistance or do we get a rejection? Watch, watch these levels very, very carefully and do what you have to do. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular day. Market to the moon. As long term is very bright. And peace out.